I want it back. Give it back. I want it back. Give it back. Now you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so after I railed conspiracy theorists, I didn't really rail, I just said that, you know, for the most part, most of those are a bunch of ridiculous rabbit trails. And statists, who are our real enemies, in order to really understand statism in a very concise, straightforward manner, I highly recommend Meritopia. And I haven't read and it's by Mark Levin. I haven't read Mark Levin's new book yet because I have no time until after the first week of October. Although, as far as conspiracy measures, I do look for coincidences and then keep my mind and eyes open. I find it very interesting in the coinciding events of our economy getting worse and worse. The ever-reaching powers of government encroaching more and more over the people. Like Obamacare, I don't think people really people don't understand how bad this is. And most people that I talk to, they kind of are getting an understanding that, wow, this isn't that good. But they're so busy with their lives and work, and not in a bashingly manner to like go against them, like how dare they? They have no choice because we're paying so much, you know, trying to keep our way of life and our families and keep that balance while working. And I believe that a lot of people that are working that have jobs are going through the same things I'm going through, where the companies are just demanding more and more off of its workers because they know they can. Because they know that they can just get rid of you and then fill your position because there's so many people waiting and knocking on the doors to get a job. And Obamacare is really going to hit home very hard small business owners and large companies alike. Maybe not as hard on large companies, but one thing I've noticed with my company is they've switched the benefits packages. They'll still have insurance, but it will be a little lesser quality insurance. Or they'll still have a 401k, but they'll switch it, and it's not exactly the same 401k. Like before, I used to be able to kind of play around my 401k a lot easier. And if I needed some money, I could basically pull out a limited amount and then pay myself back with limited interest, which helps when you have like emergencies in the household, or if you want to reinvest the money in something. Those options are taken away, where now you have to give them a solid reason why you deserve to take this money out, even though it's your own money. And mind you shouldn't make a habit of that. I'm just saying taking out for reasons that are legitimate. I don't just take it out to go to a vacation to Disney World. So they're constantly consolidating your ability to use your money, which is your own form of power. It's your own way of control over your life. That's why it's so prudent for everyone to pay off their credit cards, so you have more freedom because you have more money, and that money equates to some more of that freedom. Well, what's the first thing that the government does? Is it encroaches on that freedom with taxes, encroaches on that freedom with fees on top of things that should not cost anything or shouldn't even be regulated to the degree that it is. And then their excuse is to pay for the paperwork to deal with the regulation that they imposed on you in the first place. All that being said, now we have the Newtown massacre, the Aurora gun shooting incident in Colorado, the what else? There's so many going on. Newtown, Your Aurora gun shooting, the Trayvon Martin case, which once again brings up who has the right to protect themselves, and how far you have before a criminal process gets to come in and ruin your life. And then you have this D.C. shooter. You had the Fort Hood incident, although that didn't get too much attention, since it involved radical Islam. You don't want to we don't want to be Islamophobes. And that already within 24 hours, you have Dianne Feinstein saying that she wants, more gun control. Obama now is going to take this momentum, and he's talking about executive orders. The very first thing, if you the Day to Pray for the Peace of Jerusalem promo, I suggest you guys watch it, even though if you don't agree with that whole thing, and then do some research. I put a link that One Ugly Guy gave me, and it's Ray Mears going into this story. Ann Munka is a survivor of the Holocaust where they had a place to go in the forest. All these bug out guys are, I'm going to live in the forest, I'm going to bug out into the woods. And the very bug out scenario where they're coming after us preppers, the government targeting individuals to get them and throw them in FEMA camps. Well, whether that's a true thing that could happen or not, I can tell you right now, this happened to Anne and her family. And the Bilski brothers, and what they watch the movie Defiance, so you have an idea. This is prepping 101. This is what everyone talks about. This happened. This is a historical event that happened. And guess what fueled their ability to survive? Weapons. And what's the first thing government power is going to do? It's going to take away the weapons. Why were so many workers in a lot of government military installations, why a lot of them aren't allowed to carry firearms? That was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton pulled that off. He removed the firearms from any unnecessary. So this guy, although he gets stopped, imagine if I'm a strong believer that if everybody's packing, I don't care about this Wild West mentality, the likelihood of shooting to happen is less likely. Because most of these shooters are cowards, and most of them are going to not go into a situation. The Aurora, Colorado situation is a perfect example. He went specifically to a non-carry movie theater. They're cowards. They're cowards. And the minute they're going to get pressed and know that they're going to be taken out, so they're not going to choose those, the paths. They're going to choose the path of least resistance. But always, as a rule of thumb, liberal statists will take these opportunities to slowly erode your ability to defend yourself. Convince you don't need guns. The only thing that's allowed this to last as long, and why we're one of the countries out there that has the most lenient on gun control, is because it's literally written in our founding documents. Because our forefathers understood the abuse of power. And that's all we need to do, is not heed the warnings. I mean, let me tell you that our forefathers, they were brilliant minds, not these pseudo-intellectuals that you see popping their heads on TV, and because they're on TV, adds a little extra notoriety onto what they're saying, because, wow, well, they're on TV, so... No. These people were of substance, who studied, who knew their history, that knew the cycles of power abuses, and that they tried their best to set up a government to keep that from happening again, to allow the people to delegate their own freedom. Well, you take away our ability to fight back. You take our ability... Listen, our government is not lining our borders. They're not walking around with billy clubs. They're walking around with weaponry. Weaponry that is the means to take out whatever opposition is coming their way. When a police officer shows up at your door, he doesn't have a whistle and a billy club. He's got a gun.